Hey, I'm Chef Rich, a classically trained chef, author, and award-winning culinary educator. With over 2 decades of experience, I've discovered that food is more than just food. It's our greatest medicine. But here's the truth. There is no quick fixes, magic pills, superfoods, or diets that work. Welcome to a different kind of cooking show. Our mission? To inspire, educate, and prove that getting healthy doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. I'll share tips on saving you money at the grocery store, saving you time in the kitchen, and creating meals that everyone will eat. I'll expose the lies about food, reduce the stress about what's for dinner, and remove the struggle of getting healthy. If you give me a chance, I promise, we'll always make it fun, easy, and delicious. Now let's get cooking. Hey, I'm Chef Rich, and welcome to One Plate Kitchen, where we save you money at the grocery store, save you time in the kitchen, and make delicious meals that are easy, fun, and healthy. Today, we're going to be making a spicy honey garlic roast pork tenderloin with a green onion barley, Swiss chard, and green beans. Let me introduce you to the stars of the show, our ingredients. Today, we're going to be using a beautiful pork tenderloin. Now, if you haven't had pork tenderloin before, I promise you, you are going to love it. It's like the small cousin of the beef tenderloin. And I'm sure you've had beef tenderloin before, so you know how super tender it is. Exactly the same. Today we're going to be using our amazing, world famous herb salt. We also have some dried rosemary. We have some dry oregano. We're using some paprika. We have some garlic, some onion powder, and then some freshly ground black pepper. We have some mustard, some sriracha. Now the sriracha is totally optional. All right, so it doesn't have to be spicy if you don't want it to be spicy. What we can do is just omit that one. You could put tomato sauce in there if you wanted to, but we're gonna keep it spicy, so we're gonna keep the sriracha in there. And then we have a little bit of honey. Now we don't wanna go too crazy with the honey, but we just have a little bit of honey just to kind of balance out the sweetness, which is crucial. Then we have some fresh garlic, which I'll show you how to cut up. We have some beautiful green onions, also known as scallions. If you haven't used those before, I promise you, you are going to love them. And then we have something that I'm sure you have seen in the grocery store a million times. We have some Swiss chard, which is a green leafy vegetable that has amazing flavor, and it's gonna look so beautiful in this dish. And then we have something which is a little crazy, which I'm sure you've had it before, but only once in a while when you go to restaurants. We have some barley. I'm gonna show you how to cook barley, and I promise you, you're going to love it instead of rice. All right, now remember, these can be switched out, which I'd rather use barley sometimes because it has a great texture and amazing flavor. Then we have some red onions, we have our cherry tomatoes, and then we have our star ingredient, which every show we're gonna have, and we always wanna show love to our frozen friends. Today, our frozen friend is gonna be our green beans. Now, since you know all of the ingredients, let's get cooking. Now, the first thing I'm gonna start with is the pork tenderloin. All right, so we want to take a look at our pork tenderloin here. And I want to show you, there's some cleaning that we have to do to this. Like if you see here, you'll see the silver skin that we have right here. This is called silver skin. All right, this is different than this. This is the fat, and this is silver skin. This fat will actually break down, and you won't really see it anymore. I'm just gonna give it a little bit more flavor. We're gonna get rid of this because we don't need too much fat in there, but this silver skin here, we have to actually physically take this off, and I'm gonna show you how to do that because this doesn't break down, and what happens is it becomes really tough. All right, we're gonna go through here and look through in here. We'll take some of the stuff out. A lot of the stuff you'll see, we can just peel out. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So to clean this off, first thing we can do is just take some of this fat off. And you're gonna take your very sharp knife and go right underneath the fat and just kind of slice it that way. And then we'll just kind of slice that fat right off. All right, we don't need any of that extra fat there. Now you see this silver skin right here. What I wanna do is kind of make it flat so I have a flat surface to work with. Then I'm gonna take my knife and go right under it. So I'm just gonna make a little incision, go right under one way. Now to make it easy so I don't take a lot of meat off of this, what I'm gonna do is just grab the silver skin and I'm gonna pull it really tight the opposite way of the way I slice. And all I'm gonna do is just taking my knife, I'm just gonna kind of slice through. All right, so what happens is, as you can see, I just get the silver skin and I leave all that meat right on there. All right, so take your time with this. We want to make sure though that we don't take any meat off. We just want to take that silver skin off. All right, looks pretty good. So we're all clean here. This stuff is our waste pile. So we'll just get rid of that. Now what I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna season it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all my seasoning mixes now, put them in a bowl, mix them up, and I'm gonna put it all over there. Now I'm just gonna get my mixes. So we have all our spices here, and you can see we have our garlic, our garlic powder, we have our onion powder, we have our freshly ground black pepper, and our paprika. We'll put it in there. Then I'm gonna get my rosemary and oregano, and I'm gonna put that in there. So you'll see with the rosemary, it is kind of big sometimes. So what we'll do is we're just gonna go up there and just break this up a little bit. All right, so I'll just take my fingers and I'm just gonna get in there and kind of crush it. All right, I'm just breaking it up, just making it a little bit easier. All right, from there, which is I'm also mixing this in. Now I'm gonna get my sriracha. Now again, for me, I like it a little spicy. So I'm gonna add a good amount there. I'm gonna get my mustard and add that in there too. So we'll mix that in. Now again, if you didn't like mustard, you don't have to add it in. If you wanted to add like a whole grain mustard, you can add that in there too. Then I'm gonna add just my 1 tablespoon of honey. And again, this is just gonna balance out a lot of that heat. So we just got that mixed in there. Now I'm just gonna start mixing this in. I just wanna make sure it's all incorporated. And the last thing I'm gonna add in there is my amazing herb salt. So I got that mixed in there, it's looking good. I'm gonna take some of my herb salt now and just add a little bit in. Now I'm just gonna mix this in. Now at this point, we're all mixed in. Our seasoning mix is perfect and ready to go. And you can see it looks incredible. Now I'm just gonna take it and just kind of paint it all over my pork tenderloin. Now again, if you didn't like pork tenderloin and you wanted to do this with beef, you can do it with beef. If you wanted to do this with chicken, you can do it with chicken. It's totally up to you what meat you wanted to use. All right, we'll do the same exact technique. Nothing will change, just the meat that we use. So we're just gonna go through and just get this whole thing covered with this incredible seasoning mix. All right, if you want to do it by hand, you can do it by hand too. That's totally up to you. If you want to get your hands in there and get them all dirty, I mean, we can do that too. So we're just gonna get that all mixed in. Don't forget the top and the bottom. All right, so now we know it's completely covered with my seasoning mix. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna get my pan. Now you wanna make sure if you're doing it in a pan, that you do it in an oven-safe pan. And we're just gonna put it right on there. Let it sit down perfectly. Mix it in there, and then this will go into a 350 to 400 degree oven. Depending on how well your oven works, you wanna make sure you keep it at the very least 350 degrees. All right, if it doesn't work really that well, if it's a little bit older oven, and then we can turn it up to 400, 475 degrees. All right, what we want to do is make sure as this cooks, the outside gets a beautiful color, but the inside doesn't get too overdone. All right, so I'm gonna drop this in the oven, and then we're gonna come and clean this up. I'll be right back. Now we got that in the oven. The next thing that we have to do, which is crucial, a very, very important step, is we want to make sure we wash our hands and we wash our tools. Everything that had that raw pork on there, we want to make sure we discard it and wash it really well. So I'm going to switch boards out here. And I'm just going to wash my hands really well. Hey, Chef Rich here. I hope you're enjoying the show. I want to share with you our one plate way. And it's our philosophy for getting healthy and feeling better emotionally and physically, and yes, for losing weight. Now, our one plate way focuses on the entire person, the whole you, mind, body, and soul. Now, we've adopted a small steps approach to building good habits that'll make your journey stress-free and sustainable. Now, our methods are driven around 4 concentration points: positive attitude, self-investment, self-commitment, and stress reduction. Working on these, I promise, will give you the results you always wanted. And it won't be like this roller coaster effect. It'll be true sustainable health and wellness. Now, in future episodes, we'll start to unpack these and show you how you can seamlessly implement them into your life. Now, before we go back to the kitchen, let me leave you this one thing. You can get healthy if you focus on today, right now. Forget about the past and don't worry about tomorrow. Let's walk this journey together. Now let's get back to the kitchen. So we're gonna work on this barley now. Now the first thing I wanna do is get my pan on. Now this is a 2-to-1 ratio when we talk about barley. And what does that mean? So that means for every 1 cup of barley, I'm gonna need 2 cups of any kind of liquid. Now we're just gonna use water, but you can use chicken stock, you can use vegetable stock, you can use beef stock, you can use kind of anything you wanted, all right? Any kind of liquid would work. All right, but we're only gonna use water. So I'm gonna get this going. I'm gonna get my 2 cups of water in here. Now before I add that barley to it, I wanna make sure it's seasoned well. All right, one of the golden rules for any kind of rice cooking or whole grain cooking is we want to make sure the liquid tastes good. If the liquid tastes good, guarantee you whatever we put in there is going to taste good. So if I was making rice, if I was to season my liquid and it tasted good, I guarantee you once the rice is cooked, the rice will taste good. All right, if I just put water in here and then added my barley to it, it's gonna taste plain and is not gonna have any flavor because we didn't really season the liquid at all. All right, so I just wanna grab a little bit of herb salt. I'm just gonna get that mixed in there. Now, what I wanna do is bring this to a boil. All right, once it hits a boil, and then I'll start adding my barley to it, not until then. So I'm just gonna put a lid on this, let that heat up, and I'm gonna start working on my onion. So while that's coming up to a boil, I'm just gonna get my onion cut really quickly. So we cut our onion one way, we go, and we cut it the other way. So onion, done, 1, 2, 3. All right, so now I'm gonna take a look at my water, see where it's at. It's almost at a boil. I'm just gonna give this a little stir. I want to give it a little taste too. That tastes good, maybe a little bit more. Now, what else I'm going to do is I'm going to get my garlic ready. So I got my onions ready to go. They're looking good here. And the great thing about this one is I'm going to put everything in this water. Everything's going to cook in the water. Sometimes you'll see when we do different cooking things, we'll saute this and we'll do different things to it. For this one, I want to do everything in this pan. But one of the things I hate cooking is the cleanup. I can't stand the cleanup. I love to cook and I love to do all these things here, but the cleanup part is not my favorite. So if I can make it as less cleanup and as less pots and pans as I can, I'm definitely going to go for that way. So I see my water's come up to a boil. Now I'm going to take my barley and I'm just going to toss it in there. And I remember it's a 2-to-1. So we have 1 cup of barley to 2 cups of water. Then I'm just going to give this a little stir. I just want to make sure it's all incorporated well. Now from here, what we're going to do is turn it down And I'm just gonna let it simmer for a couple minutes. As that's simmering, then I'm gonna start adding ingredients in there. Now what'll happen is my ingredients will start to cook in here. And as they cook in here, what happens is it gives me more and more and more flavor. All right, the more flavor, the better it's gonna taste. So now let's start working on my garlic. So now the quickest way to cut garlic, just like we show you in every show, is you're gonna take it, bring it to the edge of the board, you're gonna put your knife on top of it, and what you're gonna do is just give it a whack. All right, same thing here, we're just gonna take it and just give it a little whack. Now from here, there's two ways we can do it. I could take it, this is the spine of the knife, I can put the spine of the knife on the board, I can put my fingers on top and I'm just gonna grab a little bit, crush it, and then drag it down. Then I'm gonna go back up, grab a little bit more, crush it, and drag it down. And I'm just gonna keep on working that whole way just like that. And you'll see before you know it, you have like a really beautiful garlic puree. All right, so you see how we're crushing it all. So we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna grab a little bit, crush it, drag it, push it all back, crush a little bit more, drag it, and just gonna keep on the whole way. All right, the good thing about this is that every piece that we get is gonna be completely crushed, and it's gonna have all that beautiful oil. And you can see the board, how it looks so shiny with that oil. That's a good thing, that's what we want. Now I can see my barley is getting a little hot there. So I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit more, get in there, give it a stir. And I don't want you to be scared if it boils over or something like that, that's fine. You know, we just turn it down a little bit, you know, take the cover off, turn it down a little bit, give it a stir, it'll cool off. And then, you know, we can let it continue to do its thing. So we'll put that back on there. As that's on there, I'm gonna start to get my onions in there. Now, as I throw my onions in, what'll happen to the water is the temperature will drop down, which is a good thing, that's not bad at all. So I'm gonna get my onions in there. And we'll just toss that in there. And again, we're using red onion for this because what will happen is with these red onions, you can eat them raw. All right, you don't have to do much cooking for these red onions. All right, so I don't have to cook it too long. If I was using like a white or a yellow onion, like a Spanish onion, I'd have to be careful with that because those are really strong and tart and astringent, so I would have to cook that a lot longer to kind of balance that out. With this one, I'll be good to go just with that. Now, one of the things I'm also gonna add is some green onion. This is a very, very delicate onion. Remember, it's a green onion. It's not like our red onion. So this, I'm gonna add at the very last minute. All right, but to get these ready, all I'm gonna do is take it and cut just that bottom piece off. All right, I cut that bottom piece off. I get rid of that. Now for these, all I'm gonna do is just start cutting. Now you'll see a lot of people will only use up to here and then discard the rest. I don't like doing that at all. I just take and cut a little bit of the tops off, but I love to use the whole entire thing. Again, you're paying everything. I want you to use everything. So what we'll do now is just start slicing these. So we just cut these up nicely. And you want them to be kind of thin, but again, that is totally up to you. If you want them a little bit thicker, you can have them a little bit thicker. If you want to cut it on the bias, you can cut it on the bias so it looks a little bit longer, but we'll just cut all that up. All right, so we'll get this cut up. And you'll see the flavor that this adds to it is just incredible. I'm gonna get all these guys in there and just cut these up. All right, so now we have green onion ready. We have our garlic ready. I'm gonna check on my barley is looking great. Oh, it smells incredible too. At this point, I'm gonna add my garlic to it because I want that garlic oil to kind of infuse into the liquid itself as well. So I'm just gonna take that now and just add that in there. And again, we just give it a stir. And you can see as some of that liquid is starting to evaporate already, which is a good thing. That's what we want. It's starting to incorporate into our barley. You can see the barley is starting to get a little bit thicker now, a little bit more plump, which is great. So it's almost identical to making oatmeal. If you've made oatmeal before, you can easily make barley. So we're gonna get this going. All right, we'll let this sit for a minute or two. Now I also want to get my Swiss chard ready. Now with the Swiss chard, I mean, you can see the beautiful color it has. Now remember, we always want as much color in there as possible. Remember, the more color we can add to it, the more nutritional value it's gonna be, plus the more beautiful the dish will look. All right, so all I'm gonna do with these is I'm just gonna take this and cut these bottom pieces off. This is a little too tough, a little too fibrous. You can see when we peel it, you see that fibrous part right there? It's almost like celery. All right, that fibrous part of celery. All right, we don't want to eat it. All right, so we just want to discard that piece. And if the ribs on these, like these main ribs, if they're a little too thick, what you could do is just take your knife and just slice down one side. Take your knife, slice down the other side. So we separate it like that. And I'm just going to take it and make a little V-cut right there. All right, so all I do is discard this piece, because again, this is really tough and fibrous. I want to get rid of that. Now I just have a really delicate leaf there. And I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. All right, I'll show you again. So you open this up. You can see this one, it's a little bit longer how fibrous, like this stem is. So I'm just gonna take this one and just cut it a little bit more. All right, so I just follow that down. I do the same thing to this side. I just take it and cut it down. And then we just get rid of this piece. Now for these, all we're gonna do is kind of roll them together and just make our slice. Because this is so delicate, we're gonna add this when we add our green onion. So we can just mix those two together. So we just get these sliced in. Just cut that. So these two we'll put it together. And you see now the dish is starting to come together, starting to get some life and a lot of beautiful color. I wish you could smell this, because it smells incredible. And we have a lot of beautiful color in there. We have our red in there. We'll soon have our greens. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit more. Now we also have a little bit of our tomato. And then we have our star ingredient, which is our green bean. Now we're gonna add that in more towards the end too. Remember, the green beans are frozen, so we just wanna make sure we start to thaw them out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to take these now, and I'm just gonna add them to my dish. You can see they're still cold. Just add this. Now obviously that's going to turn down the temperature of the water, which is okay. We just want to give this a little stir. Make sure it's all incorporated. And just let it go a little bit more. And I'm also going to add just a little bit, a pinch of some herb salt to that. And we'll just let that go. Now the reason we're adding just a little bit more salt to that is because remember, with every ingredient that we add, we want to make sure that ingredient has some flavor. But if I was just to put everything in there in one shot, it would be a little flavorless. And I want to make sure we prevent that by adding our herb salt to that. And then we're going to add our tomatoes in, and this dish is pretty much done. It's a very, very quick dish, which we love. We want very fast dishes. So we'll just take a look. That looks amazing right there. Smells incredible. And you can see now, the grain of that barley has gotten much thicker. It's absorbed a lot of that liquid, which is perfect. We're gonna give it one little taste. See how it is. It is incredible. The seasoning, the flavor, incredible. The garlic in there, love it. So now we're just gonna finish this off. So I'm gonna get my Swiss chard. I'm gonna get my green onion in there. Every last bit of flavor needs to go in there. And then we're also gonna toss in our tomatoes. Now all we do here is just give this a nice stir gently. Give it a good stir. The only thing we want to do to our tomatoes is just heat them up. Same thing with our green onion, and we just want to heat that up. So I can tell you right now, barley, done. Let's take a look at this pork. So the pork's out of the oven, and it smells and looks incredible. And that's one of the greatest things about pork tenderloin is how quick it actually cooks. All right, so now we're gonna slice this up and we'll start plating. Now, I don't know any better way than to serve a beautiful pork dish than on my special plate, my pig plate. So let's start plating this up. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna start adding some beautiful, oh, look at that, my barley. So I'm gonna get a nice spoon, and you can see the color looks incredible. All right, it's got a kind of almost like a purple hue, only because of that red onion. It's got an amazing aroma. So we're just gonna get some of that. I wanna make sure I get every bit of flavor in there. So I wanna make sure I get green beans, I wanna make sure I get tomatoes, the Swiss chard I wanna get in there. We'll just give it a little bit more. Now that looks incredible. Now we're just gonna slice this pork. Now we're just gonna, on a nice bias. And the reason I like to slice on a bias, it's kind of tricky. All right, but I like to cut on a bias because it makes the pieces look bigger. All right, instead of cutting straight down, I cut a little bit of a bias and it makes them look bigger. So now what we'll do is just kind of fan this out and put it right there. Now come on, it doesn't get any easier than this. All right, if we work together, getting healthy and feeling better doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. I promise. We'll always make it fun, easy, and delicious, and we'll do it one plate at a time. I'll see you next time. You want to learn more easy to follow tips and techniques that'll transform your cooking game? Join me for live cooking classes and keep learning with our new One Plate Cooking Club. Visit our website and sign up today. I'll see you later.